What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. The STL Bucket List Show is driven by Bomarito Automotive Group. Bomarito is Missouri's #1 car dealership with over 20 locations, so I guarantee that there's one in your neighborhood. Since the 1970s, Bomarito has sold over 1 million cars, and John and the entire team made us feel completely comfortable when we picked up our new vehicle recently for the family. So I can't thank the Bomarito team enough for driving this episode forward, and enjoy the show.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home, yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Luke Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. We're back with another episode highlighting the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. We have one of those people here that make St. Louis special with their delicious, scrumptious, delicious kolaches. We have Russ Clark, co-owner, and really one of the driving forces around STL St. Louis Kolache and now American Kolache. So thanks for joining us.
Love it. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Been a customer of yours for a long time. Finally just met in person a couple weeks ago. Really excited to start working with you guys, doing some really cool content and really trying to elevate the brand. But I want to learn a little bit more about you, Russ. I know you've had this brand for a while, but you've been in hospitality. You've done a lot of different things. So I want to kind of take it back to you as a child first. So if we can take it back a little bit.
Sure.
Where'd you grow up? Are you a St. Louis guy? Kind of tell us.
Born in St. Louis,
Yeah.
moved to Fort Lauderdale
Okay.
when I was 8, and we fell into the hospitality business down there. So my grandparents and my dad, we moved down there after my mom died,
Mhm.
and my grandpa bought a little lobster tank down by the marina there, and built that up into a seafood market, through the 8 years, and just I've been in the hospitality business for a long time. So
Yeah. So you started your first job was at the restaurant down there, the
down there,
seafood market?
I did when I was 8 years old. I've always been a hustler. I
Mhm.
started cleaning fishing boats down at the dock.
Mhm.
And after school, I'd clean a couple boats, and
Yeah.
was making like $5 a boat back in, this is like 1980. So I mean that was big money back then, especially for an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah, that's good money.
And then after school, it'd be going over to the fish market and gutting fish and
Mhm.
cleaning out the ice cases for the display cases, and started waiting on customers, and just always been
Mhm.
in that business. I've always liked it.
Yeah. So what led? So you guys, your mom had passed, and then you decided to move to Florida. Was that? Did you have other family down there, or was that
No,
just?
did it
Yeah.
on a whim. My
Yeah.
my grandpa and grandma were both meat cutters at Schnucks,
Okay.
and right up by Northwest Plaza, going back
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Um,
Worked there forever, and yeah.
And they did. And my
Yeah.
grandpa was tired of the cold, wrestling side of beef in there. And we used to go to Fort Lauderdale on vacation. And a crazy story, my grandma and I, we went out for a walk one night, and it felt like we walked like 5 miles down A1A down there, and we found this little duplex for rent. And my grandma wrote the number down and came home, and she's like, it's a crazy idea, but what about if we moved down here to Florida? My grandpa's like, fine, let's do it. And up on a whim, we did.
Yeah. So how'd
And
you end up back in St. Louis then?
all of our family was back here,
Mhm.
and my dad wanted to come back, and all of our cousins and aunts and uncles were back here, and Florida's kind of an interesting place,
Mhm.
and I think we just wanted. I think my dad wanted a different pace of life than Florida. So,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
4 seasons again.
Yeah.
Down there's 1 season. It's just hot.
Yeah.
You know,
It's nice for vacation, but then
it
eventually, yeah.
it is in the winter, but man, it is hot down. It feels like the sun is like halfway to the earth of anywhere else. I mean,
Yeah.
it just really is. So we moved back up here, and my dad was a bartender even down there. He
Mhm.
worked for Joe Namath's restaurant down
Mhm.
there as a bartender. So I kind of fell into my first bartending gig was at St. Charles Wine Garden,
Mhm.
and was working bartender there for a little bit,
Mhm.
and and just kind of made a journey after that. So
Mhm.
um,
When did you guys get it? So you were working in the wine, so you're always around hospitality, so you kind of knew the industry. Was there ever a moment where you're like, I don't want anything to do with this industry, and or
Not really.
yeah,
I worked some interesting other jobs.
yeah,
I was a assistant golf pro at a couple country clubs.
yeah,
Which is fine.
yeah,
But always fell back to the restaurant industry. It's
mhm,
just I've worked at hotels and fine restaurants, and it just to me the restaurant business always didn't seem like a real job.
mhm.
It was just
It just was
it's
fun.
something different every day,
Yeah,
whether it's a hotel or a bar or a restaurant, just
mhm,
different faces every day.
yeah,
I just was not the person to dress up in a suit and tie and sit in a cubicle and look at a screen.
yeah. So what was your first business that you owned then?
First business, well, my after working at St. Charles Wine Garden, I landed at Al Baker's for a
Okay.
while,
Yeah,
which is probably one of the best restaurant experiences I've ever had.
yeah,
Uh, awesome restaurant. Too bad it's gone.
mhm,
Then I opened up the Marriott West Hotel,
mhm,
Maryville Center Drive,
mhm.
which was a great experience. And actually, they put me in one of their training videos.
Okay.
I was a server down there, and I waited on some lady from corporate down there. She's like, "Man, you're great." She goes, "Would you do a corporate video for us?" Like, sure.
Yeah.
I just I've always had the gift of gab and wanting just love talking to people.
Yeah, and you didn't know
Um,
who she was.
I
You
had
just
no
yeah.
idea who she was. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I did that, and then after that, I opened up Morton's of Chicago, which was in Clayton at the time, right up from the Ritz,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
and that was an awesome place to work.
Mhm.
That
And that
was
was in the
just
90s?
great.
Or was that,
That
like,
was in '93,
93? Okay.
November of '93. They opened up.
And that was right across from the Ritz in that little
It was
circle?
right up next to CJ Muggs. It was right up the
Yeah.
street from the Ritz. So
Mm,
you'd get all the people that stayed at the Ritz would walk up there. So all kinds of cool celebrities
mhm.
and rock bands. And I mean, it
Yeah,
was
everybody stayed there.
everybody
Yeah.
stayed there.
Yeah.
It was just a great place to. It was a great restaurant at that time.
Mhm.
You could still smoke cigars and had the humidor. And I mean,
Yeah,
it was a kicking place to be.
yeah. So it's
But
always fine dining, it seemed like for a while,
yeah.
and then didn't you open up a pizza spot?
Well, we did. From
Yeah, am I
there,
zooming up? Am I zooming fast? Yeah.
we had always wanted to open up a
Yeah,
steakhouse.
okay.
I had always had the dream of like, if somebody could open up a new Al Baker's, they'd kill it.
Mhm.
I mean, the piano bar there was just, which you don't have anymore. I mean,
Mm.
it was old school. It's like
It
you
was
work in
energy
there
that
and you
you
think
had.
like you'd see Dean Martin or Frank Sinatra stroll in. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just it's like a gangster place.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Like stuff you see in movies and
it is. It
Sopranos and
was.
yeah.
I mean, if anybody that is old enough to remember Al Baker's, you're like probably thinking, "Wow, that place was
My
killer."
parents probably listening
That
right
place
now,
was
and they
killer.
probably know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that place was killer. So, I had always wanted to open up a steakhouse. And we almost did it with a couple different people.
Yeah.
With my now business partner and I, who we met at Morton's Steakhouse,
Mhm.
and him and I were both waiters together, and both had the dream of, man, place to smoke cigars and drink and piano bar and steaks. I mean, it would be a great place. So, um, but working at Morton's, you met a lot of people, and it just so happens we met the guy who owned all the Cecil Whitakers,
Mhm.
and he's like, why don't you guys start off with a local pizza joint instead of trying to shoot for a $1 million steakhouse, being two broke waiters.
Yeah.
We're like, okay. So Bart and I scraped together the money to open up our first Cecil Whitakers up in St. Anne by the airport,
Mhm.
and that was our first venture. That was back in 2001.
24 years
So
ago.
yeah, so
That was your first dip into, like,
first
actual,
dip in
like,
actually
management ownership?
owning,
Yeah.
yeah, owning a place. So
Mhm.
little did I know that, you know, 20 years later we would be franchisors,
Yeah.
and but looking back, man, is great lessons.
Yeah.
So little did I know all the lessons of prior years would come back
Mhm.
to
So when's the steakhouse coming then? No, I'm just not
oh
yet.
man, I don't know. I'd still do it. I joke with my wife all the time. She goes, "What happens if you ever sell kolache?" I'm like, gonna open another restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just, you see the people that do it all the time.
Yeah.
They
They're obsessed.
it's just in their blood.
Mhm.
Being an entrepreneur is in your blood.
Mhm.
And different. That's all I know.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you learned when you opened, because Cecil Whitaker's, they had like a framework, but obviously, you still had to run, you had to build the business, but you guys ended up owning multiple of
Yeah,
those
we had three Cecil
all around
Whitakers,
St.
and
Louis.
yep,
And yeah.
and then along the way we bought a wine bar
Okay.
for a year.
Yeah.
And the old adage is true: the two best days of owning a bar, the day you buy it, and the day you sell it.
Mhm.
So, it's a hard business to be in.
Yeah.
But lessons learned with everything.
Mhm.
But a lot of the lessons that you learn in owning, obviously, cash management
Yeah.
is a lot of it. Work ethic, hiring a staff, how you treat a staff.
Mhm.
All those,
Mhm.
all those little things.
Mhm. So some of the stuff that you did back in 2001, I mean, with being at that franchise, like, is any of that stuff transferring now, or has the whole game
Oh
just
yeah,
changed? Yeah,
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of the
That
stuff you
that
learned.
that modeled our whole way of
Yeah.
of running an operation.
Yeah.
So you look at when you go in anywhere, you see the things that people do great, and you
Mhm.
see the things that people make mistakes on.
Mhm.
And you try to apply those to what you do in the future. So
Yeah.
so we took some of the good things and some of the bad things and tried to figure them out, and things that we do different, and
Mhm.
apply them, and try to do better.
So since 2001, when you opened up the first shop together, you've always been an entrepreneur since then, ever since
Yeah,
2001, and you just kind of rolled in,
that's it.
failed one, and then you discovered this thing called a
Mhm.
kolache. When was that kind of like, what led you from Cecil Whitaker's Pizza to a kolache?
It was I call it like an act of God. I had some friends that moved down to Texas,
Mhm.
and down there it's the mecca of kolache.
Okay.
So,
I was gonna say I never heard of one until your spot, so I
a,
didn't know. Yeah.
a little history about the
Yeah.
kolache is it's been around for hundreds of years. It comes from Czech origin, but over there they put they serve them open face, and they
Mhm.
put prune and poppy seed and cottage cheese, stuff that doesn't sound real marketable
Mhm.
in the U.S. But in the early 1900s, they landed in Texas, Houston mainly, and the truck drivers loved them because they could eat them on the open road. Because down in Houston, it's just highway after highway, and it's a really, as we call them, they're perfectly portable.
Mhm.
And so down there, they started putting egg and sausage in them instead of the cottage cheese and the prune, and kind of make it more like an enclosed breakfast sandwich.
Mhm.
So I had a friend who moved down there, and she's like, "Hey, have you guys ever had these kolaches?" And I'm like, "No, what is it?" And she's like, "Well, these little breakfast sandwiches." So I'm like, "Interesting." And this was right about November of 14.
Mhm.
And so at the time, I still had the Cecil Whitakers, and my wife was a nurse. So she was working during the day. We just had my twin girls were about 2.5, 3 at the time. So I was a stay at home dad during the day.
Mhm.
And then I'd work the night shift
Flip.
at Cecil.
Yeah.
Yep. Doing the whole flip.
Mhm.
And she was also pregnant with our little guy now, who's 9.
Mhm.
Um, and the Today Show was on. And it had the top Bon Appetit magazine was on there with the top 13 food trends of 2015. And they were like kolaches, and I'm like, light bulb.
Your friend told you, and then the
Uh-huh.
Today Show,
And
and
the
you're like,
Today so it hit me, and I'm like, wow, okay. Let me look into this a little more,
yeah.
a little more detail. And I'm like, okay. I was like, this is interesting. I'm like, and I had passed this little building. Our first location is at 1300 North Lindbergh.
Mhm.
And I had driven down Lindbergh for years going to St. Anne to
Mhm.
our pizza place. I'm like, this little empty orange building was sitting there all by itself, sad, lonely. I'm like, man, that would be a great something. So at the time, I told Bart, I'm like, what about if we try a kolache place there? And he's like, you come up with a plan, and we'll see if we can do it. So we did.
Mhm.
And come the next year, October, 2 weeks after my little guy was born,
Yeah.
we opened up Creve Coeur.
Wow.
And it went so well that we opened a second location 7 months later. and sold to pizza places.
Mm.
Such an easier business model to be in than the pizza place. So, I thought, man, if somebody came along, there wasn't many people doing kolaches at the time. Like,
Mhm.
there's one place in town, but there wasn't many people on the national level doing them. And I'm
Mhm.
like, if somebody could come along and do some really creative, out of the box stuff, there's no competition.
So when you opened in 2015, so that was pretty quick from the Today Show episode, and
Hmm.
it was about a year. So
About a
in
year.
12 months, obviously you pulled, invested from your other
Hmm.
business, and I read something that you started with a $120,000 investment. Was that about
About
accurate?
that.
About that, yeah, which isn't crazy for a
Mm-mm.
restaurant, but like you said, that's where the scalability comes in with
Yep.
the size of the spot, and then it just blew up right from there.
It
And then
did.
how quickly did you said 7 months out,
Seven
and where
months.
was that one at?
7 months. That's in Baldwin.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
in
the same
Baldwin.
one, is that the one I came to, or
That's the one you came to.
oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So you went bigger then a little bit.
Went bigger. Well,
Yeah,
without any experience, you don't really know what you
yeah,
need.
yeah.
So I just strictly was going by location,
Mhm,
and I always like to be beachfront, which what I call beachfront. I
yeah.
want to be right on the road,
Busiest street.
and it's right on Manchester Road.
Mhm.
And it's got
Hundreds of thousands of
40,000
cars.
cars going down a
40,000? Yeah.
day. We're on the right side of the road for morning traffic. So all the things you kind of look for. So,
Yeah.
um, and
And you knew that from pizza places too, you're like, "I know where I need
yeah,
to be
yeah,
at."
yeah.
Yeah,
You just want to be beachfront, so you get a lot of visibility.
mhm,
Regardless of, to me, of what kind of business it is.
yeah,
So it applies to virtually all the businesses.
yeah,
So we like to have high visibility, high traffic.
mhm,
As we always say, it's when people ask us, you know, how do you look at locations? I'm like, I was listening to a podcast, ironically, with a guy that owns Jersey Mike's,
yeah,
and they're
he's
like,
great.
how do you pick locations? He goes, I just follow Starbucks around
Yeah,
because they've got it all figured out.
mhm,
So he goes, what am I going to discover anything new that they don't already
yeah.
know?
If they're opening a new
So
spot,
yeah,
then I'll go over there with
so
them.
just about in every location, Starbucks is right down the street, or Chick-fil-A,
Mhm.
you know,
Don't
uh,
reinvent the wheel. They're doing
yeah,
it,
yeah, those guys have it all figured out.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the second one went great, and we never intended to get this big.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, so when you started the first one, so, like, when did you sold the pizza franchises, like, to open the second one, or how quickly was that?
Right after we
'Cause you
opened the
couldn't do it
second
all.
one,
Yeah,
yeah, right after the second one, it was going so well. We're like, let's devote 110% energy
mhm,
to the spot.
yeah, and it's kind of a nicer model too for your family life of being during the day as well, because it
Well,
wasn't
it
a late.
is.
Yeah,
It is. It's just a lot less moving parts,
mhm,
you know.
yeah,
So in the pizza businesses, there's a lot of moving parts.
deliveries and
Just
online orders set up.
delivery drivers, and this is back. I mean, we were back in the day when there was no GPS.
Yeah, no
You know,
apps. You couldn't order on
no.
apps. You had to have a phone person.
Yep. Had
Yeah,
had
writing
counter
shit down.
counter people. We were the first Cecils to have POS,
Yeah,
the point of sale system.
yeah,
But I mean, looking back, I tell the kids now, I'm like, man, when we had delivery drivers, we had the big maps in the yellow book,
yeah.
and you'd have to,
Draw out your route.
draw it out, write it down. You had, at night you'd have a spotlight, and you know, hopefully people had addresses that didn't have missing numbers. I mean, it was so old school.
Yeah,
I look back and be like, wow. I mean,
yeah.
that was
It's
some.
crazy. And then you like lost. You're like, hey, I couldn't find their house.
And
It's
now
like,
these people just punch it into their phones. You're here, and I'm like, man, this would have
yeah.
been sweet back in the day.
So when you opened and you didn't build it out, like you didn't build your brand out to be a franchise off the bat.
We
Like
didn't.
that wasn't even
Had
a
no
thought. You're like, hey,
intention.
we just want to be a local business.
Hmm.
You're like, okay, now we don't have that franchise
I just
fee.
needed more money with twin girls and a little guy. I
Of
was like,
course.
I just need to make more money.
Yeah, and
You
you're like,
know?
hey, that franchise fee, we can save that, so that saves a lot of your margin there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then you were hustling. You're like, hey, man, I got each location for one kid, one location per kid.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at too. But
Yeah.
so when did you decide? Because you were St. Louis Kolache, so
Well, right off the bat, we decided we were going to be St. Louis Kolache.
yeah, which I love that. Yeah,
Little did we know, we would morph into, the Panera model of,
yeah,
St. Louis Bread Co. and
yeah,
then, going into
American.
Panera. So, in how we came upon American Kolache was, we take basically our motto, we take American classic comfort food and stuff it in delicious dough.
Yeah,
So, that's how we kind of settled on
Yeah, and
American
it's same
Kolache.
branding, same colors and
Hmm.
everything too. So it was nice. So when did the moment get when you guys are sitting there and you're like, hey man, like we need to franchise this out? I mean, you already had the knowledge of the franchise business, you know.
We did. I think it was after our third location, which ended up being in O'Fallon out on Highway K.
Yep.
Um, we got a call from a guy named Dave Hood, and he was with a company up in Chicago. It was a franchise company, and he was one of Aunt Annie's first franchise people.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
he was like, but he goes, I've been looking at stuff online. We're always looking for new stuff to franchise. He goes, I really like your stuff. He goes, you guys are in a lane of your own. And I'm like, interesting. So I'm like, okay. So like I said, I took it back to Bart. I'm like, what do you think about this? And he's like, yeah. He goes, it may work.
Hmm.
So and that's like I said, we just kind of fell into it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's incredible, and that's still the same people you're working with up
Yep.
there in Chicago. Yeah, you told me about them.
Yep.
So what was that feeling like when you got your first franchise? I mean, I'm sure that was pretty huge win for you guys.
It is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's scary.
Yeah, of course.
It's really scary. I think the biggest thing for me was, I've got my family and Bart's family resting on the success of this.
Mhm.
Which Bart and I have been business partners for a long time at that point.
Yeah.
Um, but now I'm asking people to invest in us.
So more families now.
More families,
Yeah.
and a lot of these people that take their 401k or their life savings, when they're not buying 10 or 20 of these things, are like, I want to build something. And you're like, okay, I've got something that can help you here,
Mhm.
and something you can build into. But then once they sign the paper, I'm like, oh my God, not only do I have the stress of my family resting on this, I've got the stress of your family
And you
resting
carry that
on
too.
my shoulder. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because you talk to your people all the time. Yeah, yeah,
Still to this day,
yeah,
it is. I've got somebody who's signing on for a location, and she's converting her 401k over.
yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God,
Mhm. But
you know,
you wouldn't do it if you didn't know, but still, there is still a risk no matter what, with anything.
every
Yeah,
every company closes locations. Some locations just don't work. Some areas don't work. But I think everybody loves comfort food. You know,
mhm,
everybody loves something fast, delicious,
mhm,
reasonably priced. So I think we don't have a niche item. I think it's something
yeah.
you know that hits just about everybody.
So what year was the first franchise then?
Oh gosh.
So you opened 2015, then
Yeah, I think it
quickly
was.
early.
Well, we had a couple set before COVID,
Yeah.
and COVID set us back. Set everybody back, I guess, year and a half. But we had a couple that were going to retire.
Mhm.
They were in the media
Yeah.
business up in New Jersey,
Mhm.
and they had gotten engineers and architects. And Bart and I had went up there, scouted the location, and they had met with contractors, and they were just about ready to sign their lease and everything, and the landlord wouldn't put a COVID clause in there,
Mhm.
and they got scared,
Mhm.
which, looking back, rightfully so.
Yeah.
So that
'Cause it's
that
right at the beginning.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that and that was back in 2019.
Mhm.
So that set us back a couple years.
Yeah.
You know, but
So the first one opened what, 2021?
21, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Down in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah, I read
Yeah,
about that
right
one.
outside of Birmingham.
And then now you have, a couple more, and then you got a couple more cooking that you haven't announced yet, right? Yeah.
We do. We've got 4 franchises here in St. Louis.
Mhm.
We've got the one down there, and we've got about 6 getting ready to open up across the country.
Yeah.
Probably by late summer.
Wow.
So
That's
Topeka, Kansas will be the next, and
yeah.
mid-late March here, and then Fort Wayne, Indiana, Peoria, Illinois,
Mhm.
Louisville, Kentucky, and then right outside of Washington D.C.
That's huge.
So yeah,
That's cool.
so it's fun. We've got some great locations picked out,
Yeah.
and have some really good franchisees, and
Wow.
it's exciting.
That's
So
incredible. I mean, that's huge, especially like when you think about, Louisville, Kentucky. You think of, these Washington D.C. Could you ever
hmm
imagine your little tiny shack that you bought on Lindbergh now is going to be in
No,
Washington D.C.?
I,
Not saying it was a little shack, but I'm just saying
no,
like yeah, yeah,
it is, and it's just, sometimes you look back and I'm like, I think of, I think of the days of Bart and I scraping by with one pizza place,
yeah.
and how we've evolved into this, but it's been a long road, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's when you look back and you tell people the stories and you talk to younger people,
Mm-hmm.
younger entrepreneurs and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely not a get rich quick. It's definitely
Yeah,
not a get rich quick scheme.
yeah,
It is a long,
yeah.
been a long road.
And it's still like in theory, you're just getting started when it
Yeah.
comes to the franchise game. I mean, I don't know what are the numbers for like a small like when you think of like a small franchise, is that like 30 location or 20 or like
That's actually quite large.
is that large? Okay.
If there's about 4,000 franchises here in the U.S.
Okay.
And I think one opens all the time.
Yeah.
Very few franchises ever make it past 5 locations.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
didn't know the data on that.
so yeah, so once you have like 10 locations open, you're in the top 500 franchises in the country.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah,
So
I just had a guy on a couple weeks ago with Tacos for Life. They're a
yeah,
franchise. Have you heard about? You've heard?
I do. I love those guys.
Yeah. So Matt Rose, he owns the Baldwin one and
Yep.
the O'Fallon one, and it was the same story. He walked into
Mhm.
one in Arkansas, and
Yeah.
now they're spreading out all over, and they got a
Yeah.
good mission. And
Yep.
so yeah, I didn't know much about the franchise, but yeah, that's crazy. So with the 6 opening this year, how are you guys marketing to new locations? Is that all through the franchise agencies, or are you guys doing any other outreach, or because it's hard to find these people in these other cities? You're not out
Yeah.
you're not sitting at a bar in Chicago
Yeah,
waiting for
yeah.
rich people to.
Well, like I said, we've got a marketing company,
Yeah.
and we have a new marketing company
Yeah.
helping us out too, you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
which we're really excited about. But yeah, it's just it comes with laying the groundwork months in advance.
Mhm.
So when we start a location out of town, first thing we do, really anywhere, is put up the sign.
Yeah.
Because then people are driving by your sign for 3 months while construction's going on.
Yeah.
And I've already had countless radio stations and TV stations in Topeka, which is the next one reaching out. Like, when you guys open it, can we do an interview? So
Yeah.
I mean, there's
It's
already
exciting for the
already
communities. Yeah.
excitement building. Almost too much so sometimes,
Yeah.
that when you want to have a soft opening, and just kind of quietly open for the first couple days to get their feet wet
Of course.
with social media, somebody drives by and says you're open,
Yeah.
and then the floodgates open up.
Yeah, the little neighborhood group chats.
Yeah,
Because like in the
soon as
small
it's
neighborhoods like
soon as
that.
it's
Yeah.
out on Facebook,
Yeah.
yeah, it happened with O'Fallon, Illinois.
Yeah.
We opened O'Fallon, Illinois last year, and it was like, it was just like, let's just open up. There's 15, 20 businesses in a strip center who are all just waiting. I was like, let's just get those. And I mean, it wasn't 20 minutes and it was on Facebook already,
Mhm.
and it was just like ungodly busy.
So people see that in other cities and they're like, "Oh, like let me look them up." They find out you're a franchise and then another person finds out about it and it
Yeah.
kind of spreads like that. And
Yeah.
and then, these blogs are featured. So what do you think the secret sauce is? Like when you think of like some of the fastest growing franchises, like I think of like Crumble Cookie or like these other ones that are Seven Brew. I know we talked
Mhm.
about them. Like what are they doing to blow? Like is like I don't get it
I think the advent of
because I know
social
you
media.
you look into it.
The
Yeah.
advent of social media. I mean,
They're cool. They have the cool
it's
factor. Yeah. Yeah.
they have the cool factor.
Yeah.
They have the cool colors and the young, fresh, hip marketing. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's just I mean, the number of people that you can reach social media wise now.
Yeah.
Going back to like the pizza place. But there was no social media.
Yeah.
You still had people going out and hanging menus on doorknobs. Remember when
Yeah.
you used to come
Yeah.
home and
Oh yeah.
the pizza place
Sponsoring
said,
Groupon. You were probably paying for Yellow Pages
yeah,
back then. Yeah.
Yellow, my
Sponsoring
God,
the
Yellow
church,
Pages.
like the church handbooks
I
and
mean, you
stuff. Yeah.
look at the leap in technology in such
Yeah.
a short period of time,
Yeah. And they just hit that
and
wave, and then
and
they
you just you just hit that wave, and now literally with one post,
yeah.
you could reach 20, 50,000 people,
Yeah.
all in a matter of minutes.
Right. But
So
with that, then they forget about you that quick too. So it's like, how can we stay relevant? Like
well,
with
well, that's
yeah.
another thing.
Yeah.
It's sometimes even today, in some of the restaurants and the franchisees and stuff, you have to keep on about advertising.
Hmm.
And it's like, look, there's a reason McDonald's commercials on every 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest brand in the entire world
Yeah.
is still advertising on TV every 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, it's because you
They're
have to
still coming
stay
out
in
with
the
new
mind
things. Yeah.
of people.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's incredible. So, what is it? How involved are you with these? Like, because you mentioned you talk to the franchisees all the time, or the franchisees. Like,
hmm
you're working with them. You guys have ongoing training. You have people on your team that are working with them as well.
we do,
Yeah,
but we're small enough that we're accessible all the time.
yeah,
You know, and hopefully that'll stay that way.
hmm
I was just talking to you about a podcast with, some other companies
hmm
with Jersey Mike's. I was listening to one the other day with the guy that owns Capriati's
yeah,
sandwich shop,
yeah.
and one of the current franchisees was like, they're still small enough at 400 locations.
Were you talking to
That
Jonathan?
that's
Jonathan
small.
at Capriati's, or the guy that owns the
The-
local one? Yeah,
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 he
Rock
was
Hill.
he's on
Yeah,
on he goes, and I was texting with the owner the other night. They're still that small
yeah,
that you can do that,
yeah,
and I think that's great.
yeah.
I think it's great. So we like I said, we're in the stores all the time, and
hmm
if you want to text me at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, you'll get me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, if you got your
you
phone
know,
on you, and that's how I mean, being available is, and that's big because these people, like you said, they're this a lot of them, it's their only thing. Now, some of them, it's an investment. Some of them,
hmm
it's like they're like, hey, I hate my job, I want to do something else.
yeah,
I
yeah,
met your guy out in Cottleville. He's amazing, good operator, and I go to
hmm
that one. I live over there by that one, and I think it's great to see. What you guys are doing, and cool to be able to open six, but with that, like you said, it never stops. Now it's like, but you also own your own stores too.
yeah,
So,
yep.
do you have a vision to have any more corporate stores, or no? Is
We
that done?
don't.
Is that over? Yeah,
It's just too much time consuming on other things.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Pour that into, and then are you guys moving a locate or no? No.
We
Yeah.
did. We're moving to O'Fallon, Missouri, out on Highway K. We ran through our lease out there,
hmm
and landlord was not very workable.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, that's okay.
Yeah.
So I had always wanted to go up to Florissant. I
Yeah.
always said Florissant was going to
That'd be
be
a good one.
an
Yeah.
amazing area.
Yeah.
Up there in that stretch. If a lot of your listeners have never been up to 270 in Limburg,
hmm
but you drive north up there down Limburg, and everybody has got mega freestanding restaurants up there. It's like the mecca of eating.
Yeah.
So
hmm
I had always wanted to go up there.
Yeah.
I grew up in North County too, up in
Mhm.
St. Anne, and
Yeah.
so went to Flow Valley
Yeah.
for longer than I'd like to admit to. And
Yeah, North County was it, man. I mean, my parents, before they had me, they were in St. Anne. My mom went to Riverview, and I think that that area still has so much density with people up there,
mhm.
but they also don't have enough local businesses to support
Yeah,
up there either. So I think it's really cool that they're going to get an opportunity. Like, there's nothing wrong with the big Longhorns and the Texas Roadhouses and
yeah,
stuff like that, but I think that quick service, having that quick service out in Florida, and there's so many people that live out there.
yeah.
And then the work at 270 in Limburg is a lot corporate over there
A lot of
too,
corporate.
which is big
Yeah,
for you guys as well.
yep. It's good.
No, that's amazing. I mean, I think it's incredible. And first of all, we didn't even talk about how good the kolaches are, though, because like we kind of talked about everything
Yeah.
else. But like, tell me, when did you have your first one? Did you go to Texas and eat one, or your friend was telling you about it, and then
They were just telling me about it.
you never knew what it
Never
was,
had
and
it
you're like,
before.
I'm in the food game. I've done
I thought
everything.
it was chocolate.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
hmm It
Until
sounds
I
kind of like
until I
Mm.
like I said, and then I saw the Today Show, and they were talking about it. I was like, wow.
So when did you have your first one then?
I think they had brought me back some from when they came back to St. Louis.
Yeah,
There's a place down there called the Czech Stop, which is like a 24-hour gas station,
yeah,
and I think literally they sell, I mean, a ridiculous amount. I mean, like, there's a line out the door 24/7
just to get
at,
kolaches there.
at the Czech Stop. It
Yeah,
is like the legend, and you can watch the little ladies make them
yeah.
on YouTube, and it's just an awesome
They have a YouTube
thing.
channel
They
too,
well
or
they
people
they-
film them,
they
like the
they
food
they did.
bloggers
They
film
had
them.
big stories. I mean, this place is world famous.
Check stop. I'm looking them up.
Czech Stop,
Yeah,
yeah, and it is literally 24/7, and it is, like I said, I call it the mecca of kolache, but I can't remember how many thousands. I think they go through 5 to 8,000 kolaches a day.
wow,
Yeah,
that's insane.
yeah, insane.
That's crazy.
But
All made by hand by
all
those
made by
ladies.
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
So when you were developing the recipe, I mean, obviously you guys were in the pizza, so you knew dough.
Knew a little bit about dough.
Yeah. But then other than that, it's like, how do you,
Trial and error.
yeah. So you
Trial
guys
and
would
error.
just make, because
I
you,
just
you guys are in hospitality, but you were always kind of like in, the service side of it. I mean, but you would cook. I mean, you'd have to
Mhm.
cook sometimes, but it still probably was a challenge. But then when did you guys start introducing these local collabs? Because I think you guys were doing that before that became cool to
Yeah.
do collabs. Like now all these chefs are collabing. They're
Yep.
like used to not be like that, where
Yep.
like the guy at
Yeah.
Morton's will go to this guy.
Well,
Like,
it was
what was your first collab?
well, the first one was with Pappy's.
Yeah.
At Pappy's,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
still running. That's
It
I mean,
is.
that's a good seller too.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Just
Is that
great.
my
Just
yeah, yeah,
great guys.
yeah.
Yeah, John,
Mhm.
and Mike down there. But we went down there and talked to Mike. I think Bart's brother knew
Mhm.
Mike somewhat, and he's like, I've never heard it. He goes, bring some down. Let's try them. So Bart and I went down there, brought some down there. He's like, yeah. He goes, these would be good.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we did the brisket and the pulled pork, which we still do the same way.
Yeah.
Going on 10 years.
And your franchises just do it with other local barbecue spots, or
Yes.
you just kind of be like, hey,
Yes.
this is the model
Yep.
we use.
Yep. Every little city will make connections to do collabs.
Yeah.
We'll do a local coffee of Peoria, Illinois, or
Yeah.
Louisville.
Yeah.
And and find a local barbecue
Mhm.
joint to hook up with, or some other kind of. I know down in Birmingham they do like a sweet potato pie. So there's some
Just
local
ties to the community.
there's some
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
ties, and that's great to get involved with a community like that, and you get the local foodies out.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then
So Pappy's, you did that, and that kind of blew
Pappy's,
up a little bit.
it did. It's
Yeah.
great, And then second one was Joyous,
Yeah. Another
and
one.
Joyous
Hot
is
salami.
such a great family, and
Mhm.
give all credit to Bart on that. Bart's Italian, lived down on the hill, so
Oh, he knew the original family.
so
Yeah.
he went down there and talked to those guys. Had never done a collab before
Yeah.
with anybody,
Yeah.
and so we were the first ones. And Alex is just an amazing person in general.
Yeah.
So
I just went to his new spot over in
yeah,
Winhaven.
yeah,
Amazing.
just like John at Pappy's. I mean, just great guys to deal with. So
Yeah. And that one was the hot salami.
yeah,
And then you did stuff with Kui over here at Nudo.
I have not
Oh,
done
not yet.
anything.
Not yet.
Haven't
I
done
thought you guys
anything
talked
with
about. No.
Kui is awesome though,
Yeah.
because he eats in there all the
We
time.
talked about it.
We
Yeah.
talked
That's why I
about
was
that.
like,
Yeah,
did you guys
yeah.
do
It
someone
made-
quick?
it
You
made
did
me-
someone Gerard. Gerard. Yeah.
Gerard Kraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Great.
I'm still amazed to this day. I had sent Gerard a DM on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was just totally shocked when he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to." I was like, "What?" I had to do a double take. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So he hooked us up with Brian from Brasserie.
Mhm.
And we went down there and we did the Brasserie cheeseburger,
Mhm.
and he loved it so much that he served them at happy hour down there
Yeah.
at Brasserie. So that was that. I'm still blown away by that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an awesome.
That's another connection on social media.
That
You're like,
was
man, I could just talk to
awesome-
people like that, and you're just like, boom, 1 second. You
Yeah.
know, and it's just crazy.
yeah. That's I'm still in awe that we got to work with Gerard.
We got to
Kraft,
get that
so.
Kui one. Are you still doing them, or is it a little bit harder to execute now with how many locations
a
you have?
little harder to do them now
Yeah.
when you've got so many people in such a big batch.
It's a big order.
We did a bird and barrel mother clucker.
Yeah.
Which is a good one. Done something with Tamale guys, and
Oh my gosh, I love those Tamale guys.
that was awesome as well. And we use Ann and Allen's gooey butter cake.
Mhm.
They've got 70 different varieties, and Dale down at Park Avenue. We've just been lucky to. I mean, St. Louis has got great people.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Real easy to work with and
Yeah,
collab with.
just,
I've heard that it's different in other cities. Like it's a lot harder to get. Like nobody wants to help you.
yeah.
Like that's
well,
the.
it's St. Louis. We're lucky it's such a
Mhm.
smallish big city.
Yeah.
But man, what culinary geniuses we have here.
Mhm.
I mean, lucky to be blessed with such great chefs.
Right. And for you to get to like your kolache spot to get to collaborate with some of these
Yeah.
people that have been doing
And
amazing
just
James Beard
good people.
winners.
You think of it to walk in and Gerard Kraft didn't know me from Adam,
Yeah.
and to hit him up and say, hey, would you want to do a collaboration? And to give somebody like me the opportunity, it was just still at the stage, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
So
a James Beard winner.
ever thankful to Gerard Kraft. I mean, yeah, just still an honor to
Yeah.
do stuff.
You
with
guys got to
people
bring
like
that back again for a little pop up or something.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I mean, just great people, man, to work with. Like I said, Kui is awesome.
Mhm.
I always called him like the unofficial mayor of St. Louis.
Yeah. Such a good cheerleader.
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, him and Chef Mav.
He's right over here across the street
Yep.
at his spot. I was just over
Yep.
there.
Yeah. But he made me a nervous wreck one day. He put out on Twitter that was rolling in the front door. I'm like, oh my god.
He put a picture up.
Yeah. And I was just like,
You're
I was just,
freaking
like,
out.
pacing back. I'm like, okay, let me know what you think. Scared out of my
And then
wits.
did he approve?
Oh yeah. So he goes, I think he ate like 5 of them.
Dang.
Yeah. So that was awesome too, and still to this day, such a great guy.
No, that's incredible. Yeah, I think that's like a part of what you guys did. But now I love that now as you're scaling, you're kind of empowering your other people to do that. Because a lot of franchises, when I was over at them, they don't have the creativity to do things because they're too big. They're like, no, you can't do that unless you jump through all these hoops to make sure. But you guys have so many different flavors now. I mean, I was actually blown away by your dessert ones. Is dessert kolaches, is that a normal thing, or is that something that like
it is?
Yeah.
It is.
Like how it's on top like that? Yeah.
Yep. I think there's a lot of
apple pie
a lot
one
of
was
sweet.
incredible.
The apple pie's good, and the s'mores,
The s'mores was fire,
and
too.
the cream cheese. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
We've got a new one coming out that's going to be out probably in about a month or so. It's going to be cream cheese and Oreo cookie.
Oh,
So
cookies and cream.
yeah, lots of sugar, lots of carbs.
Yeah, like you said, you were on a diet. You're like, I can't eat that one yet.
Yeah.
So what's your? I mean, you got all these locations open. In this older article that I read, that I was reading about it, you had like dreams of like Chicago, Nashville, all these other cities, Columbia, Missouri. Is that on the target?
Would love to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's on the target list. But when you think of like the long-term vision of your businesses, it's like you have a family, you have all these different things, like you have a certain goal of growing it. Like what are you looking at in like that 5-year goal for you guys? I mean, do you guys talk about that stuff?
Oh, I'd love to have 50 or 100 stores open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just keep moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, is there a number, like is 6 like a number like that's for this year, but like is there a certain number? It's like I can't open that many at one time. It just depends on.
Yeah. Actually, we've been approached by franchise brokers that want to represent you, and they're like, we could sell 50 a year, and I'm like, I can't do 50 a year.
Mm-hmm. Like I can't.
I don't want to do 50 a year.
Yeah.
I want to do maybe 6 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
A
next
year,
5 years.
so I can give people the attention that they need, and spend the time, and make sure. I mean, it's not a quick open. I mean, some of these places take a year.
Mm-hmm.
Year to get open, so finding the right location and negotiating
And you're helping
leases.
them with that too. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. The first thing I do is, when you want to go to a certain city, I'll make a visit to the city, and we'll drive around. We'll look at, where all the Starbucks are and all the Chick-fil-A's, and look at the traffic patterns and, stuff like that.
Sit there at certain different times
yeah,
of the day.
and kind of learn the city. So
that's crazy. So other franchises aren't doing like they do. They might have a
well, they probably do.
Staff member, but not the owner. The owner's not coming.
Well,
on.
yeah. Right now we're the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So we kind of do it all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different now too with the technology.
Yeah.
As we talk about, you don't need a big corporate office with 8 different people doing things. Now you have virtual assistants and media companies, and one of them's in New York. You guys are going to be here, and then you have somebody else that does something that you can piece out. So it just gives you a lot more time to focus on certain aspects.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And I think as you guys grow, and I think growing as operating as a small business, but operating as a mom and pop business, but also bringing the structure and the organization and the systems to be like, hey, here's the template on how you generate $750,000 in sales out of a 1,200 square foot place, or whatever the numbers are and the formulas and different things like that. But no, that's awesome. I would love to see. I think college towns are a good market probably for what you guys are doing. I think, like you said, busy metropolitans.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. The college towns are great. We have somebody coming to visit that is going to be hopefully located in Charlotte, right next to Duke.
Nice.
So that'll be
cool.
that'll be a good.
Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy traveling to do you just enjoy the business side of
do,
it? Of just
I do.
Because it's like your thing, but it's also their dream too. So it's like you get to kind of be a consultant.
Yep. I do. I've loved to go to all these cities. I'm really excited about Louisville.
Yeah. When is that? What are they looking like?
They are just hopefully going to sign a lease here in about another 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So we've been looking there for almost a year.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's a busy town.
Yeah.
Fell in love with this as soon as I pulled in.
Yeah, my
It
cousin lives
is
down there. It's nice.
Louisville is a happening place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big, and then outside of DC,
Yeah.
how far from DC is it? Is it?
It's about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, in Loudoun County.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
That's pretty much East Coast,
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
different ball game. And then Topeka, that's like what would you say Topeka compares to in like Missouri? Is that like a small, like a St. Charles kind of, or is it like
Probably.
like a
Yeah.
kind of a St. Charles County area?
Yeah. Remind me a lot of
Mm-hmm.
St. Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then St. Charles out here, and it gets to the point where you're kind of all over, all over town. So, no, that's awesome. So I want to talk about your STL bucket list though, because you don't just eat kolaches all day. Do you?
No.
So
I've had my fill.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because when I talked to you the other day, I know you're a big foodie. I want to talk about first with your kids. What are some of your bucket list spots that your kids love to go to? I mean, they probably love kolaches, but they probably have spots where they're like that.
They're pretty much sick of kolaches. Now their friends are a different story.
Yeah. So anytime they come over, you get a box for them when they have sleepovers
oh, man,
and
you
stuff.
guys own kolaches? Like, we love kolaches. And but
So what are some of those bucket list spots when you're like, hey, we all are off today, like kids want to go somewhere to eat, like
oh man. Of course, I hate to admit it, but I mean my kids are chicken strips like every other kid.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to go someplace and eat something real? No.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't.
We want chicken strips.
Yeah. It's crazy. You're trying to like get their palate up and it's just like easy.
Oh, it's terrible.
So, okay, so let's say without the kids.
Mhm.
Let's say you got a date night, which I don't know how often you can get date nights when you got a house full of kids, but what are some spots that are like, hey, here's a spot that I love, or some spots that you and your wife love?
Oh man, I mean, how can you go wrong with Balkan Treat Box?
Yeah.
And Lauren's just one of the most amazing people.
It's so good.
It is.
It's so good,
just,
dude.
It is.
In her other spot, have you been to Telva yet?
I have not.
You got to.
Yeah,
Dude, it's
but
unbelievable.
It's just but she's just such a good person.
Yeah.
And her food is just ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's another family. I mean, that's the whole family there.
It
working.
is.
It's
and it's
incredible.
just, and there's just
Lines
they're
out
just
the
so
door.
nice,
Yeah.
Rick at Grace Meat and 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a good spot.
Rick is just another person that's just
chicken strips from there.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are some good chicken
but
strips.
I mean, just going back to nice people.
Yeah.
I mean, Rick could not be a nicer guy.
Yeah. He just announced he's opening that
Yeah,
new spot.
yeah.
That looks like a really cool
Yes,
spot. Over there.
yeah. So,
Their food is just good, but it does make you feel good when you leave there
Yeah,
too.
yeah, of
You
course,
see, because he comes out and talks. He's always there. Yeah.
yeah. It's just just like the guy at Donut Driving. Kevin is an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Mr. Strange Donut.
Jason, I was just
Jason
texting him today.
He would always
He's
call
wild.
me. Long story short, our place at Southwest in Hampton, I beat him out for that spot.
Oh, did you?
I didn't know
Yeah.
who it was,
Yeah.
and the guy was contemplating on two people. I didn't know it was Jason.
Yeah.
And as soon as it came out of the paper, first call was him.
He was just messing with you. He's like,
He
dang,
was. He just let me have it. He goes, man, if I didn't like you so much.
dude. I was just texting him earlier because I was over here at Creve Coeur and his spot. He has a spot over here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he owns World's Fair over there. That little corner spot they do the late night.
I tried to get him to put me on the other side of where the late night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah. That's been killing it. The Uplate's been killing
it's great.
Mhm.
Yeah. But he's a good guy too.
So what about like you talked about more some fast casual spots? I mean, how often do you guys get out, to a nice sit down? Like what would
Never.
you say? Never.
Never. Yeah. Never.
Is that what my future
But-
looks like with my kids?
Well,
I got my second
know,
kid coming in
yeah,
3 weeks.
I mean, there's so many good places. I mean, Peacemaker is ridiculously good.
Yeah.
Man, there's just so many good.
When you mentioned
My wife likes to go to Nudo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a nice.
you
That's
know.
like a good you could do a date night, and that's also a good little takeout.
we're
quick,
taking the
fast,
kids to
casual.
Miley a couple times, and it's
Mhm.
just,
Yeah.
you
There
know.
is too many good options. Like it's almost like St. Louis has it's almost like where you're at. It's like, I could drive 30 minutes and go to this place, or I can pass up like 1,000 amazing restaurants on the way there. And
Yeah.
it punches above. Everybody says it punches above its weight when it comes to the food, and it's like that's why it hurts when these places close because you're like they shouldn't have closed.
Yeah,
they're great.
yeah,
And
yeah.
It's just it's tough. But what about activities? Like, I mean, let's say do any of your franchise ees come to see you guys ever, or not as much? Do they come out this way? Like to St. Louis? Like if you're like looking at somebody that's in Louisville, will they like come visit St.
They
Louis?
do.
Yeah.
We do.
So do you take them around and you're like, hey, here's like our stores,
I do.
here's like what we're doing in St.
Yep. I
Louis?
usually I usually send them to lunch at Pappy's.
Yeah.
Because they want to try the barbecue.
Yeah.
They want to see what a brisket tastes like and a pulled pork tastes like. So
in St. Louis, you're like this.
Yep.
Is
and Enjoy's is right down the street from Southwest. But yeah, so if they stay over for a couple nights, they'll try to guide them to the hill to go eat Italian food somewhere. And it's just a great historical place to see. I mean, so many stories about how long those restaurants have been down there, and but yeah, it's just like I said, you don't. I mean, there's so many good restaurants in town that you can't eat them all.
You can't.
Yeah.
Even if you went out 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And some of them,
we used to know Lou Rook from the Morton's days, and I mean,
is there still a Morton's at the Four Seasons Hotel,
You
or
know,
right at the casino right there? Is that
at the
Morton's?
casino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one you worked at, or is that?
I worked at the one. It was in Clayton.
Okay.
It was right next to CJ Muggs when it was a real Morton's.
Okay.
Now that
it's not Morton's anymore. It's just a hotel casino thing.
It's
a naming right
technically
thing.
It's Morton's.
Yeah.
But it got bought out by the guy who owns every other hospitality, the big Fertitta brother that
Yeah.
his
The big
brothers
Las
own
Vegas guy.
UFC, and he owns just about everything. But
Yeah.
and
So it's
he
just
got rid of the Frank Sinatra in there, and it just wasn't the same after that. When you go from Frank Sinatra to techno.
Yeah. Is that what it used to be? A lot of Frank Sinatra.
It was all Frank Sinatra.
And now where they play EDM music, like dance music.
Yeah, they just slow dance music.
Yeah.
And it just but yeah, back then Frank used to love the place in Chicago. He used to go there all the time. That's why they
What's the big steakhouse? The one that's about to turn 100 down on the landing. What's that called? Al's?
Al's.
Yeah. Didn't he sit there? He sat at that place?
Al used to come in all the time.
Yeah.
At Morton's. Yeah.
Oh, he came in. But didn't Frank Sinatra go to the Al's? Or there was somebody
probably
that has a table. They have a Frank Sinatra table there.
Yeah.
Where he would sit in the very back corner.
Yep.
100 years. That's crazy.
It is.
And I think that they're in a spot where I don't know how they're. I guess it's just crazy that they're still there.
Yeah.
But I think the community something's going on just keeping that place open. But no, Russ. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm glad that we got connected, and I think that I'm excited to see you grow. I know we had a lot going on this year, and STL Bucket List. We're excited to keep putting out some videos for you. We were just there shooting today.
Yep.
We talked to a food stylist. Got to get them out there. I think Kyle sent you over some information.
That's great. We're excited to have somebody local, local partner.
Yeah, I think it's going to be easy for, freshening up, like you said, competing with content. And then really the goal is to build a library for these businesses. Like here's 100 videos, pick through them, or here's 50, graphics or whatever it might be to just help these people. Because a lot of these people that are buying these franchises, last thing they're thinking about is putting something up on social media. They're just trying to get the stuff there.
Well, yeah, and it's just, the whole marketing has always been the biggest challenge. I think most of, besides, employee issues, marketing is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
It's different, works different in every city. And, but the one thing now is everybody's world is handheld.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're 8 or, 65.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a smartphone, and it's like the whole game has changed. So, there are some old school techniques that still work, radio, TV, but man, everything is handheld. So you're going to have to adapt to people like yourselves that really know the game.
Yeah.
I'm too old to know the game.
Hey, your kids will show you.
My kid, they do.
Are they on TikTok? They're probably on TikTok.
No, we don't let them have TikTok.
Not yet.
They can't have none of the apps.
That's good.
But my kids have to tell me how to edit a video.
Yeah.
I'm like, I come to them like,
did you just do the Valentine's Day one this weekend? Was that
I did.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say you just put that up this weekend.
I'm like, can you show me how to get music on this? What do we get for it?
Yeah. What do we get? See, that's what I'm saying. You could have hired them to do it.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
You're probably cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. As you'll find out.
I know. I'm about to 2 weeks. My second daughter's due March 5th, so I got 2 weeks.
Girls are expensive.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah. I just did my third father-daughter dance. So
that's amazing. With both, because
with
twins.
Both.
So you dance. You have them both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's special though.
Take turns. Of course, when you go to father-daughter dance, they're
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 hanging out
with
their
you for about
friends.
5 minutes and like, see you, Dad.
And then you just find one of the dads.
And the dads and I hang out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, every once in a while they'll come back to to do a dance or something like that. But
I know. I think of like girls when they're in high school and like that, and I'm like, okay, like being a girl dad is really special, and like being able to mold them. But then the guy I had on last week has 2 girls too, and he's just like, yeah, man, you just gotta let them. They get to a point where you're not the most important person in their life for now, for a little gap in their life, and then now his kids are in their 20s, and now like they need they have a gap where you're not the most cool person. You used to be the coolest person in the world.
Yeah.
And now it's
See, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I love being a girl dad. When I found out we were having twins,
yeah.
we started out with twins. Okay,
I bet that shocked you though when you.
I had never really held a kid. I never thought I was
changed a
going to be a
diaper,
dad.
never did anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
I was 40 when we had.
You were 40?
Kids. 42 when we actually had them.
Wow.
So yeah, so started late. I never thought I was going to get married. So truly blessed, and so we started out with twins.
You're like, okay, well then
throw
you're like
the guy that's never held a baby, throw him twins.
Yeah.
But I wanted 2 girls, and I got 2 girls. Because you got to have daddy girls.
Yeah.
Because my son is a mama baby.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
So I'm like, I need girls.
So when you had the kids at 42, and how long was that? 16 years ago? How old are they?
They are 13.
Oh, 13. So 13 years ago. So that was 2012.
Yeah.
So, but you were in the depths of entrepreneurship. So like that rocked your entire like world. Like you were like, okay, how am I going to go make pizzas tonight or run
but it was nice because it gave us flexibility to be able to do that instead of
exactly.
instead of having I could raise our kids.
Yeah. Instead of having to clock in and clock out. Yeah. You were like,
And
hey,
take
Bart,
'em and drop
Bart, I
'em
got to
off at a
like drop them off
daycare.
real quick.
Yeah,
And,
it gave us the flexibility to do that, which I'm so thankful for. And like I said, my wife was a nurse, so she'd work during the day, and we'd kind of flip flop.
But it was hard for you guys to bond because it was like, here, I'm leaving, boom, drop the kids, boom, boom, boom. That's how we are right now. It's like my wife and I just talk at the very end of the night and then we pass out.
There's the good and the bad of everything. But at the end of the day, it's nice being able to have somebody that is with your kids all the time. So we're just blessed to be able to have that.
Yeah.
But
that's
nothing
crazy.
like being a dad.
I know.
I tell you, it's the greatest. It's the greatest.
So
thing
you
ever.
didn't think you were gonna have kids because you were 42. You're like, okay,
never,
my gap.
Never in the world thought I was gonna have kids.
And then you guys met, and then it popped up, and you're not an old dad, but
Yeah, 50 sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I'm about to be 30 this year, and I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, I don't have kids young because eventually, like in 20 years when I'm 50, then my kids will be maybe out of the house. But then I'm like, well, then what are you gonna do? So it's like either time it's like and running a business, I think it's made me more efficient. And Kyle, my partner, he doesn't have kids yet, but it makes me I feel like I get more work done in less time because I'm like I need to be like at 5:30 I have a thing on my phone that just says family time, and I try to turn my phone on do not disturb from 5:30 to 7. It's only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But you would be surprised when you're there and I'd be on my phone and then they'd go to sleep and I'd be like, oh, I didn't even see them go to sleep. And like, it's just a terrible feeling when you're on because now we're on our phones all the time and it's like your kids see that. And so at least from 5:30 to 7, that's at 90 minutes. I can turn my phone on do not disturb. And then right after that, I can get back on my phone.
Yeah. How old's your daughter now?
1.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This is
and you've got another one?
Another girl coming in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
This is her.
That's great, though. But see, isn't that just awesome, though?
Yeah.
I mean,
when they look like you, she got my dimple on one side. Yeah.
You just see 2 of my kids look like me, and one looks like my wife. And she's like, that's really not.
Are your
fair.
girls identical or no?
They are not.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 totally different. My little guy and my one daughter look exactly alike.
Yeah.
And then the other one is a mini Holly. So but man, it is. You just look at them every day and just I do.
Well, it gives you something to build towards. Like before kids, I was building for ego, or maybe not ego is the right word, but it was like, for personal things. And then because I would like post like our numbers and be like, oh, I'm super excited. Like we're killing it. And now it's like it reset my clock to where it's like now I'm trying to build a legacy, something that my kids can be proud of. Like eventually you're going to probably exit America. You're going to either exit or you're going to retire. And that brand is going to live on, and hopefully that brand's going to provide, college and it's going to provide a life for them to not have to worry like we did when we were 18, or 19.
And hopefully it'll teach them life lessons, just like owning the little seafood shack taught me life lessons that I still go back to today.
Yeah.
Great customer service and earning customers' trust and building relationships.
Yeah.
Being a business owner is a lot about building relationships.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah.
Either with your staff or with customers.
Yeah. I say that about with staff because they
Yeah.
could work anywhere. These people can work.
It's I tell people, a lot of our managers and people that are in the upper part of our company now all came from inside,
Mhm.
started on the counter. And I still have kids that I had back in the Cecil days that were 15 and 16. I still talk to them today.
Yeah.
Because I was a good role model.
Mhm.
We weren't the rich guys that just came in and just had, $500,000 to start building restaurants. Bart and I were waiters,
Yeah.
and so if I could tell my story and look, there's no get rich quick schemes. Maybe there are on social media,
Yeah.
some stories
But
like
even
that,
then, no. Yeah.
but man, it's been 30 years of busting your butt,
Mm-hmm.
in little steps.
Mm-hmm.
But if two broke waiters can do it,
Yeah. Well, and it's betting on yourself and it's constantly reinvesting. But yeah, people think, and you're probably still that same mentality is like you're still showing up and doing whatever it needs to take. Like you need to shovel the back to get the thing done. You're gonna go
Yep.
shovel the back. Like that day we came over, it was the day after a snow day, and and people don't. But it's not like I don't think there is a get rich. There's get rich quick, but it's like how can you actually build a sustainable
Yeah.
business? And you
Yeah.
still worry about that
Yeah.
every day.
There's still times I go in and help out if I go and roll into a store and they're behind,
Yeah.
roll up the sleeves, make kolaches, wash dishes for them, take the trash out, and there's like, and you own the place? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
need me to mop the floor?
let's go.
No problem.
Yeah.
You
no.
know?
But that's the fun part. That's what you loved about it. That's what
I do.
yeah.
I still like going in and making the stuff and just being one of the normal people.
Exactly.
Well,
Russ, I appreciate you coming on, man. We got kind of on a tangent there about kids, but I think people are gonna love hearing if they're
That's
still
all
listening.
right.
If they're
Yeah.
still listening to
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
they hopefully your wife tunes in and she
Yep.
can hear what you're saying
Love it.
and stuff like that. But I'm super excited to get to work and excited for people to hear this episode. So
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yep. See you guys next week.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.